felted for a while and gotten the basic understanding of the whole thing, you'll want to start to add interesting effects and textures and add in things other than wool roving. Natural animal hairs work well, so wool or mohair yarns are real good choices. Take a close look at your yarns. Some wool yarns are fairly loose and need no help at all to integrate into the project. Like this very, very soft, hardly twisted yarn. Regular worsted weight knitting yarn is usable as is, but works even better plied. And what I mean by that is I'm pulling the individual strands apart so that I can lay them in separately. Remember that reducing the bulk of an add-in helps it ease into the rest of the wool. Others are tightly twisted and dense, making it difficult to meld into the pile of light, fluffy roving. So stranding is highly advisable in a tight yarn like this. So you can also trap it in with a light layer of the same color roving that's the top color of your project. So to do that, you pull off the slightest, almost invisible layer of wool and lay it over the top. And that little bit will do wonders. What happens is the microscopic spurs on the fibers on top will lock in with the fibers on the top layer of your project, so it'll take that stubborn piece and hold it in. Now you can also use this for the novelty yarns that are out there that are so tempting to use because they're so pretty and wild and just have so much character to them. Here we have a piece of novelty yarn laid down, and I will take some of the same peach color that I'm working with and give it just a little layer over the top, and that will trap it in. When you're choosing a fiber for your project, be mindful of the bulk and the thickness and weight and even the fuzziness. Now, these little hairs aren't actually going to felt, but it will be easier for the wool to snag on. A really great way to incorporate novelty yarn into a project is to lay it over the edge of a project and sealing it in well and let it hang out freely like a fringe. Now take a look at this ribbon. It's very stiff and not really, it's kind of smooth and it doesn't have a whole lot for the wool to get a purchase on. So you can hold it in with with roving like this, but it seems counterproductive because you'll need so much that it's going to cover up the ribbon. So you can, with ribbons, you could do it every couple inches and it'll still be held in well enough, but there will be a gap in between here where it isn't covered. Adding in fabric as an accent is as simple as laying it in and covering the edges so they don't come up. Like so. Now, if you're picking out the fabric to go into your wet felting project, think about the same kinds of things that would work with new felting. And so you want it real gauzy or a loose weave, something organic. And this example is silk chiffon, my favorite, and that works wonderfully and creates some really, really pretty effects. Silk hankies are not actually handkerchiefs. They're just a nickname for this because of their size and shape. What it actually is the inner part of the cocoon of the insect. But it comes in a big stack, and here's an individual one. They're obviously cleaned and dyed and processed, and this is how you can order them. Laying it down on top of your wool will give you some really interesting results. These thicker edges here will stay all wavy and it'll almost look like watercolors. It's really stunning. Here is some Bombyx silk that is long and smooth and luxuriously shiny for a really interesting add-in. And this is called Thrower's Waist. Now it comes just like this, all bunched up and curly. It's not combed straight at all, but if you like that neat random effects and it's got little lumps of it here and there, that is a really neat thing in your project. silk in a project, you will achieve a really pretty sheen over the top of your felt. Other breeds of sheep can be an interesting add-in too. Here I have some locks that are Wensleydale and Cotswold curly locks. And to incorporate these, they want to stay within themselves, so those might be a little stubborn for you too. So trap it down with a little bit of your merino or whatever else you're using, and just to keep it staying in there. Now try experimenting for yourself to see what works and what doesn't. If you're unsure of how something will incorporate into your felt project, do a mini test sample first, or make a whole strip of test felt with different add-ins laid in to see how each one will work. It's a great learning experience, and it will save you a lot of time and disappointment if it doesn't work out.